like to welcome you once again to the SCORE Business Showcase. We're looking forward to another fine guest from the area, and it's a company that I've known for quite some time, and these are, I believe, the second owners, and we'd like to welcome Joe with Corporate Display Specialties. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, appreciate you coming. Now, let's just get right into the questions. Did you found that CDS Displays? Or how did it come about for you?
Well, no, I'm not the original founder. The original founder is a gentleman you knew, Bill Steves.
Yes.
Bill and I met in a gym, health club, and he needed somebody to run his graphics department, and I was a designer, and I had a small sign business, and he brought me on to run his graphics department. So I came to work for Bill in 1994 and ran his graphics department for about a year before I realized that the only reason I was in the graphics business is because I was a business development person who needed to be able to get work done. So I did a lot of the design and a lot of the production myself, but I was really more of a business development person, and talked Bill into letting me get a territory and doing sales for him, and became a sales manager for a corporate display. And like I said, I worked for Bill for 8 years before leaving corporate display to go into the ad agency and web development business for about 6 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, and talk about Bill. He was a fun guy to be around, him and his wife.
Yeah.
All right. I went to some of their little parties that they
had some great parties.
Yes,
yeah.
they did. It was fun.
Definitely.
Now, how did you happen to come to acquire it?
Well, like I said, I was gone for 6 years, and we didn't really keep in touch, but we didn't leave on bad terms either. And it was April 2008. I was at my desk at the agency, and they called my phone and said, "Hey, Bill Steves on line 2." So I picked up, and I hadn't spoken to him in years. And he said, "Hey, Joe," he goes, "I wanted to see if you would be interested in getting together, if you had any interest in buying CDS," just completely out of the blue. So the economy was really good in April of '08. So, and I liked the business. I really, I thought there was a lot more that could be done with it. And I was up for the challenge. So I said, "Sure, let's meet." And we got together, and the rest is history. Except that by the time we closed the deal, it was October 2008, and right then the recession started, and things got. He sold at the right time, but he gave me a fair price. So so it wasn't that
it worked
bad.
out.
I was able to survive. Yeah.
Yes. Now, how different is to run the company than to work for it?
Extremely different. Running the company, there was a lot more responsibilities than I anticipated, and it took me away from what I did best, which was to do marketing and promotions and sales, and manage the sales team. I was a sales manager for Bill last 5 years I was there, and would do a lot of the recruiting of the salespeople, and teach the techniques, and go on customer appointments, and from prospecting to presenting to doing proposals, customer service. But then when you own the business, you're dealing with everything from the insurance company, the town, the taxes, employee reviews, production schedules, cash flow, inventory. So it was a wake-up call. It was definitely a big difference, and it took a long time to really grasp the whole picture.
Now you have a team.
I do, yeah. I have a good team, thank God. Well, it was tough because Bill actually, after he sold the company, he went into semi-retirement, and he was still available and still around. He still helped me out a lot. He would like to travel. In our business, we travel a lot, so he would go on a trip. He liked to go to certain places like New Orleans or to Chicago. So he would take some trips and do some setups on site for me, and came in and taught the younger people that I had hired some skills.
So he was like a coach.
He was, yeah. He was great. He unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago. I know you were at the service, and it was a great loss. And he was a fun guy. Everybody knew him. And,
yes, I did.
Yeah, we miss him.
Now, who exactly does CDS Displays actually serve?
It's unique because our business is here in Connecticut. We're located in Stratford, but our customers come from all over the country, and even some from other countries. Our core business is trade show exhibitors, people who go to a convention center at the Javits or McCormick Place, and will set up for a couple of days, and it's usually an industry specific. It could be medical, it could be technology, it could be pharmaceutical, it could be, you know, they're almost always very specific to an industry. So those customers come from all over the place, and it's never the same industry, it's never the same town. It's really unique. But so in addition to the trade show industry where we do the convention centers and the venues, we also do experiential marketing. It's called our brand activations. So we'll work with companies to put on, the big term is brand activations, where we've been in the middle of Times Square, and we set up this entire just mock display with graphics everywhere for like the U.S. Open. We did one for Cracker Jack over in front of Herald Square. It was for Frito-Lay, where we built 16-foot tall Cracker Jack boxes and had, you know, these big models of fake Cracker Jacks spilled out on the floor and people giving away gifts. And, you know, it was a big, like they call it like a street event, or really, you know, it's an experience. It's a brand experience.
You're bringing me back. I remember as a little kid, I used to look forward to the toy that was inside.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Those are fun days.
Yeah, so so that's a big part of our business as well. You know, I did a big event in where was it? It was in Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, for Jay Leno's garage. We built a set.
Oh, really?
And they filmed one of the episodes there. So we built the entire background in the set, and we made it here, sent it there. I went with it to set it up, and they filmed, and then we broke it down and sent it back. Yeah. So we do some really unique work.
That's fantastic. Now, is there a lot of competition in your industry?
There is an extreme amount of competition. The good news is there's more customers than there are competitors. And even in Connecticut alone, there's at least a half a dozen very good-sized companies that do almost exactly what we do. When you get around the country, I would guess there's thousands. Next week, actually, is the large convention in Vegas for our industry. It's called the Exhibitor Live, and it's international. I mean, people come from all over. So it's a very competitive industry, but it's a very large market. I mean, I believe like a $4 trillion global market.
Like, because you're in advertising.
Well, no, it's events. There's a show in Paris called the Paris Air Show, which that show alone is probably $1 billion market cap, because the people who come to that show, first of all, it goes on for like a month, and like the largest companies in the world come, and it's just, they build, you know, for a 1-month period, facilities. They'll actually build displays there. They have plumbing and restrooms and bedrooms in them and conference rooms. So we build a display that'll go to Las Vegas, and we'll have huge conference rooms in it. These things are 16 feet in the air, and that's just small, you know, couple-day show in Vegas. When some of the international shows, it's absolutely amazing how big they are.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what is unique about CDS versus your competition?
Ooh. Well, what's really a way we try to differentiate ourselves versus our competition is by really not trying to stay within what we're good at, or within, you know, stay within a certain toolbox that we like to offer because it's comfortable and familiar with us. So a lot of our competitors, what we find is they found a way to do something. They found a way to, there's more than one way to skin a cat, for, you know, they found a good way to do it, and they try to purpose that for everybody. You know, there's an old adage that if the only tool in your toolbox is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And, you know, we do not try to sell the same thing to everybody. And I think that really differentiates us, because a lot of our competitors seem to often repurpose the same thought or the same strategy or same idea because it worked for somebody else. And sometimes that's great, and it's good to have a lot of experience, and especially if you see a similarity, to say that, you know, this worked really well, we've done this before, this may work for you. But to think that that could work for everybody is kind of short-sighted.
Now, does a lot of something that probably plays into the whole situation is relationships. And the reason why I think about that is because of the kind of personality Bill was.
Yeah.
Does that play into your business at all?
It does. It definitely does. I'm a very big networker, and I don't have a lot of close friends, but I have a lot of extended friends. And I go to a lot of events. I went to a SCORE event at the Fairfield Library last night, and it was a great networking event.
Very good.
We had a good turnout, actually. And, you know, definitely being social and having a lot of connections and doing things like this today, it definitely extends your network too, by all means.
Are you a part of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council?
We are, yeah.
Oh,
We are members of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council. We just did their display, actually.
Okay.
We should talk about doing something nice for you here as well.
Yes.
We can put something with your logo on it. You know, we'd be happy to help you with that.
Fantastic.
But yes, we are members of Bridgeport Regional Business Council and also the Waterbury Regional Chamber, the Valley Chamber of Commerce, and the New Haven Chamber of Commerce.
Fantastic.
And we're active in all of them as well.
So you have an outreach out there.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, we get involved too because they put on events. So events is our business. So we will sponsor the events and be a part of it. You know, on site, we just did the New Haven Chamber had their big connect at Oakdale, and we were a sponsor. We provided all everything they needed for the event, and participated. Waterbury Chamber, the same thing. We'll speak at to the exhibitors before the show to give them some tips and help on how to maximize their investment in being there and what their goals should be.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we get really involved with the chamber.
And I was going to ask that question. How do you find new clients?
Yeah, that is one way for sure. Word of mouth. You know, Bill started this company in 1983, and there wasn't as much competition back then. And we have some customers that have been with us for 25 plus years, and some really strong companies.
That's fantastic.
And that's really our base that keeps us grounded. But we get a lot of word of mouth. We definitely get referrals. We'll work with a customer at a company who then moves in a career to another company. We're the first call they make because we did a good job for them. But the 6 years I spent in traditional advertising, marketing, and web development, I was able to bring that to corporate display and built a very good website, and it's very optimized for search. So we get amazing amounts of leads from our website on a daily basis. And realistically, people ask me all the time, you know, what do you do for prospecting? What do you call companies, and how do you reach companies? And we're very blessed to have companies calling us. It's wonderful.
Well, I tell you one thing, what's coming across to me is you're excited about your business.
Yeah.
And have you made any major changes since then, since you started back in 2008?
Yeah. Well, you know, the first 5 years were tough because the economy was difficult. You know, I've definitely seen growth for the past 4 years, and we've invested right back into the company, so we've upgraded our equipment. We got some really good, you know, CNC routing equipment. We bought what they call a direct-to-substrate printer, which could print directly onto like this table. I could take this table cover off and print a graphic right onto the table. And we print on a lot of different materials. So that was a major investment. So I definitely invested in equipment and technology. And I'd say the biggest thing that I did is about a year ago, decided to rent a additional space that could be seen from the highway. So if you're on I-95 right in Stratford at exit 31, there was a space for rent. It used to be a Howard Johnson's and a Friendly's, and it faces the highway. So I drive by it every day, and I've decided, well, let me call and see what they want to rent it, because the exposure alone, because I'm a marketer, so the exposure alone could be worth the rent. So I called, and it was affordable enough. It costs about as much as a billboard on the highway would. And instead of just a billboard, I get the whole space. So I moved our graphics production department into that building because we do a lot of locally, a lot of signs and graphics. We do building signs and window graphics and a lot of banners and, you know, just truck lettering and vehicle graphics. And so locally, we do a very good business with signs and graphics. And we opened the space on I-95, and I wanted to have a web address on the building that people could remember as they drive by. So i95signs.com was available. So I bought the domain name for the web address, and the guys who work there came up with a great logo, and it said I-95 Signs. And all of a sudden, I came up with the idea of, why don't we just make it a separate company, a separate brand? It definitely serves a separate market. It's more of a local-based business. You know, people who see us and want to stop in, we have a retail counter in there, whereas corporate display is a lot of phone and email with people out of state.
That's right on Honey Spot Road, isn't it?
It is. It's at the Honey Spot Road exit, I-95 Signs. So that's a part of us. It's a spin-off of CDS Displays, which is It's a pretty major change.
And I didn't realize that, and I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at first I tried to brand it CDS signs,
Mm-hmm.
but it just didn't have the same flow as I-95 signs.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And is there any other businesses that you're involved in?
Actually, a couple. When I left the ad agency in 2008 to buy CDS, I just had a passion and a love for web design and web development, and there were a couple of people that I worked with at the agency that were also moving on. So I formed a web company in 2010 called 2020 Interactive.
Mm-hmm.
And 2020 Interactive is a web design and online marketing company. I'm a partner in. I give it, if we have a new client, I'll work on some strategy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a principal, and I'll work on the management of the business, but my partners run it the day-to-day. And then recently I joined a group of consultants and launched a company called Starboard Directors. And Starboard Directors works with businesses, entrepreneurs and businesses who want to grow their business, or they don't want to have to work as hard in their business,
Mm-hmm.
or they want to work on succession planning for their business. And we go in, we're what we call a consortium of consultants with deep core competencies, meaning each member of the group has a very specialized knowledge at one area of how to help a company. And that's how we become entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
If you know the book, The E-Myth,
Yes.
it's about people who become an entrepreneur because they're very good at one thing. And that's what I found when I bought corporate display was you may be good at one thing, but it's hard to get grasp on running an entire organization. So, and one of the ways I became connected with them is I brought them into my business, and I was working in my business instead of on my business.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a slave to my desk and leaving at 8 o'clock at night, and everybody was lining up my door because I had to solve all problems. I didn't have people have proper job descriptions, and I didn't assign responsibilities to other people. Everything kind of fell on me,
Mm-hmm.
and this group helped me get out of that and be able to free up some of my time. And I-95 signs probably never would have happened if I didn't make some changes and have some help. So that was important.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask. What were the challenges you were having? So you kind of point that out. What are the successes that you've had in your business,
Wow.
or one in particular that stands out?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That's a tough one because you have everyday successes. You have there's a lot of little things that are important. If I would have to say, people judge success by different measures. Some people financially, some people by projects that they did or notoriety. It's hard to say how I would even measure success. I can tell you we've grown financially. We've had 4 very strong years of growth, which is exciting. I think I-95 signs and launching that as a separate business that is starting to get some real traction and notoriety. I feel very confident that business is going to grow. So I would say that's quite a big success because I came from that industry. I came from the sign industry, and the I-95 signs concept of having that retail store. I've planned to open a couple of other locations for it, and then potentially you can turn it into like a franchise business where people who wanted to get into the graphics business or the sign business, we can teach them what we know and what equipment we do, how to price it, how to do customer service. We have very good software for it. So that's probably one of the biggest successes I would say that I'm proud of is launching the I-95 as a separate business and having it do well.
That's fantastic. Seems like you have a success every single day.
Yeah, well, you got to count your small blessings, right?
Exactly. Now, if anyone that's watching could use your services, how might they reach you?
Well, the easiest way to reach me is probably through the CDS Displays website. We come up really well on Google. All you have to search is CDS Displays or Corporate Display, and you'll find our website. We're located in Stratford. We have a contact us, a quick form. If you fill that out, it comes to me, and I field those and send them off. So if somebody wanted to, reach me or Corporate Display, or I-95 signs or 2020, the best way is through the CDS Displays website.
And I think you're located on Lordship Boulevard.
We
in
are,
Stratford,
yeah. Both CDS and I-95 are about a quarter mile from each other. One's exit 30, the other's exit 31.
Yes.
Yeah.
So easy access.
It is easy access, yeah.
Now, if you could do one thing different along the way, what would that have been?
Well, that's a good question. going back to those first 5 years, the economy was tough, and you know, people always said to me, "Oh, you picked the worst time. You picked the worst time." And you know, they say the best time to do something like that, to buy a business, and it was a real business, and with a real investment, I had to get financing for, and it seemed bleak at a certain point, especially in like 2009, 2010.
Yes.
The economy was really rough. But they say the best time to do it is when you can, and I was able to do it at that moment. And I know a lot of people that work for companies and they want to do their own thing. And I've had a couple friends who I've kind of coached them into doing it, and they've been successful, which is good. But I'd say the one thing that if I could do differently is I think I would have found a way to hire some consultants and bring some people in from day one, because maybe I was overconfident. I knew a lot about what I was really good at, but all those other nuances running the business, I should have brought in help. I learned it the hard way. I really did. Yes. And I would tell anybody, if you're in a business and you're running a business and you're struggling, find somebody to help, because there's people who are very good at where you're struggling, and if you're very good at a certain area of your business, you help other people in that way. And that's how the Star Board Directors was really came about, is because people that were other consultants were coming to me for my help with the marketing, positioning, and what I was very good at. And in turn, you can help each other. You don't necessarily always have to spend a ton of money if you could provide a service to somebody.
And also, too, talking about that, SCORE is a great resource.
SCORE is a great resource.
That you're referring to also. Now, also, as far as family is concerned, it sounds like you're busy. How does family play a role in your business?
My family doesn't really play a role in my business. My family is like me and very busy. I have 3 sons, and they're all pursuing education and work careers. My wife is even busier than I am. She's a social worker, and she's in school for her master's in social work. And she's doing an internship and working a number of jobs, and a busier schedule than I.
It sounds that way. But that's good. All right, you're able to work all those things together, and also family also. So that's very positive. Yeah. One of the things you mentioned too. One of the things that we talk about often on our show is reading. All right, you mentioned the E-Myth. Yeah. Do you happen to remember the name of the author of that book?
It's funny because I knew I was going to mention the E-Myth today, and I don't remember the author, which is terrible because I'm very good at remembering authors.
Yes, and I can't remember either, but it's a good book.
It is a great book, and and there's been a couple follow-ups from it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also one of the books that in fact, on our last show we talked about was Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill. I know that author.
Absolutely. And that has helped in many occasions.
Yeah. Think and Grow Rich is fantastic. I tell people all the time, I would say the most profound book, though, the book that really, it doesn't matter if you're in business or if you're trying to be in sales, if you're trying to be a good person and you're trying to get along better with people in life, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is probably the most complete book on how to behave and get along with people that you could possibly. I love it.
Yes, and I took the course.
Yeah, Dale Carnegie. I took the Dale Carnegie course as well.
It was excellent. Matter of fact, when I took the course, it was Stu Leonard's daughters were in the course at the same time.
That's fantastic.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. And they used to give you the pencils.
Yes. Any other books that you suggest for our business viewers out there today?
Well, it really depends on your interest. I read a lot of a local guy. I think he's from Westport, Seth Godin. Seth Godin has some great marketing books if you're looking, for how to market your business. Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point, obviously is one of the great, and he's written a few other fantastic books. But one of the books I really, really I enjoyed, and there's 2 kind of, I guess they're both autobiographies. I don't know if the Barnum one, but P.T. Barnum, there's a book on P.T. Barnum that was a very expensive leather-bound book that I saw in the bookstore years ago, and I read it through and through about his promotion skills and his marketing. And it's funny because I'm in the promotional event business. And so P.T. Barnum book was a great read, but the autobiography of Ben Franklin is it's unreal. It talks about being patient and being willing to work really, really hard for a very long period of time without instant gratification. Everybody wants instant gratification. They want to make money now. They want to make money now. It takes a long time, and it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of dedication. Franklin's book is really it's the autobiography. it's a great case study in how to be prudent and work hard and and wait for things.
I just wrote it down, so I plan on going to get that book. Matter of fact, one of the places we suggest getting books is the Pequot Library.
Yeah.
All right, and they have book sales.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, the largest book sale is during the summer, where people from around the world actually come to that book sale.
Yeah.
So like over 300,000 people that actually show up. All right, so it's fantastic. So it's great to know that you're a reader.
Yeah, I love to read.
And it keeps you positive and
It
also
does. Well,
motivated.
you learn from experts, and you can't figure everything out yourself. And if people figure, it's like if you're trying to assemble, a piece of furniture. Can you figure it out? Maybe, but isn't it easier if you read the instructions?
Yes.
And business is a lot in that way. There are instructions, and if you're not stubborn and you follow them and you follow the recipe, you will be successful.
And we usually read the instructions last.
Yeah, right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it's been fantastic to have you on the show. The energy that you're putting out there, I'm sure it's going through the airwaves out there. That people will get that.
I hope so.
Hopefully they will also take a look at some of these books. I intend to take a look at these two that you suggested.
Yeah, they're excellent.
Ben Franklin and also P.T. Barnum.
P.T. Barnum is it's a very unique book. Very unique book, especially being here in Bridgeport, the home of P.T.
Yes,
Barnum.
exactly.
And it's something. He was a showman.
Yeah, their museum is right down the street.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And people hire me to put on a show.
Yes.
For them. So using some of those techniques really help. You got to be big, and you got to be bold, and you got to be spectacular. And he was probably the best there ever lived.
Yes, indeed.
They did that.
Well, once again, thank you very much for joining us today. Our TV viewers out there, keep on watching. We appreciate your time. Remember, SCORE has the opportunity to go over marketing questions.